Hey YouTube, Dusty here, and I'm excited to announce I have officially launched my Patreon page. If you like what I do, you can sign up for tiers like Saiyan, Super Saiyan, and Super Saiyan Rose to unlock exclusive daily content. You can also unlock unique callers for my new Discord channel. Regardless if you become a Patreon or not, make sure you stop by and say hello. Hello everyone, Dusty here. I'm excited to announce that KitchenTableMeta is collaborating with Popo's Kitchen, a new site specializing in Dragon Ball Super singles. They have everything from Set 1 tournament promos to Union Force and even Dash Pack promos. And if that wasn't enough, you can even trade in your old cards for credit. Do you have a playset of Sensu beans you're not using? Turn them into credit and buy that shiny Jiren. Don't forget to tell them Dusty sent you by using the code KitchenTableMeta at the checkout to save 10% on your entire order.
All right, guys, what's up? We're back. Came in halfway through, not halfway through the match, but the match has already started. We have Anthony Hernandez, 4-0-1, Tricolor Cell on the right, and then we have Chris Sock, 5-0, with a blue-red cell on the left. Sorry that the Anthony Hernandez doesn't look that great, but I had to quickly stop doing the overlay and jump into this game because they started playing. So here we go. Let's see what happens. Now, it looks like it is Anthony's turn, so he's going to take a damage, it looks like is what happened there. So it looks like he's at 7. Sorry, guys, I kind of came in the middle of this here. We'll get caught up here, though. All right, looks like Chris Sock is going to combo with TN after that cell. So it looks like he actually attacked with cell. And maybe he's down to 4. Is he awakened? Yeah, all right, so that's what's happened. All right, we got caught up. We're back in this. All right, so we got Chris Sock at 4 life, awakened with cell here. And has a TN out in the field, while Anthony Hernandez also playing cell, a tricolor cell, which is blue, red, and green at 7 life. So he's going to play his TN out at as energy. Now, the important thing to remember is since Chris knocked Anthony down to 7 life, like we talked about multiple times throughout the stream here, it's going to be, whenever Anthony uses TN's ability to awaken, he's going to be at 3 life to Chris's 4. Now, this is a downside that Anthony's going to have to take, however, because he can't let Chris stay awakened while he's not awakened. So he's going to have to do it here, even though he will be going down to 3 life to do it. So he's down to 5, and he'll probably use TN's ability here again to go down to 3. Again, normally this is pretty bad to do, but Anthony is just in a situation where he has to do it because if he doesn't do it again, like I said before, he'll just be way too far behind Chris since Chris is already awakened. Now we see Chris, Chris does have a Vegeta Save the Day in the energy. So that's actually awesome. That's like one of my favorite cards. I feel like it's super underrated. And so you can use a bunch of different cards in order to pitch them to Cell to keep his hand low and then play out the Vegito to essentially draw 2 cards. And it's a very, very awesome threat. Very unique deck, and I'm glad to see Chris doing really well with it. Oops, I changed the wrong life. So he's at 3 life, so 3 to 4. He's going to put his other TN at the bottom, draw 2 cards. And so now Anthony's just right back into this game. Again, he has a life down, but it's a risk he had to take because he cannot let Chris set at being awakened while he's not. So he's going to pass the turn back to Chris. Chris is going to play out, his 3rd energy here. He does have 1 card underneath Cell, so they are tied as far as how many cards are currently under Cell. I would have liked to see Anthony possibly play a card out of his hand before he awakened to essentially just try to keep more cards under Cell. Might be, again, a little bit of a risk, but I feel like Anthony needs to take a little bit of a risk here to try to get it back into this game. So Anthony's going to pitch a combo card here to survive that attack. Chris is putting his next TN down to draw. It looks like he did get a Bobbity off that draw, which is fantastic. Looks like this might be an objection. Put it down here. We'll see what happens. Objection going... It's like Chris is thinking a little bit about what he wants to play down. He's going to play down a blue, another red. He's going to choose his... Ooh, took it back. Thinking about it. So he's putting another blue down. So he has access to both red and blue to play out another objection and play out a boo as his next energy. So he's at 5 energy, which means Bobbity can come down next turn. Bobbity is an amazing card against Cell because you're essentially putting out 2 threats with Bobbity, and it's really hard for Cell to keep up with that. Now, Cell can kill one of them, but it's really hard for him to kill both. So we'll see what Anthony decides to do here. He's a little bit far behind. He's behind on life and behind on energy. But I feel like he might have something up his sleeve here to get back into this game. Guys, we are in round 6. So this is round 6 of 8 here at Hartford, Connecticut at the ARG Dragon Ball Super Regionals. Again, sorry for that abrupt start there. Like I said, the players started just a little early. All right, so he's going to put Kaba under here and draw 2 more cards. Did a little bit of cycle. Looks like he did get a Super Saiyan Gotenks and another. Oh, looks like maybe a Whis. Anthony does have a lot of cards in hand. He has access to the Sensu Beans here, so he should be okay for a couple turns. But I'm really, really afraid for Anthony when this Bobbity comes down because it's going to put so much pressure on him. And it looks like Chris is using his Vegeta Save the Day to stop that damage and stay at 4 life. Hey, Chris playing out again his 6th energy here. I'm expecting to see this Bobbity come down. It's a fantastic play. Now, the bad thing about playing it right here, though, is he can't open himself up to Anthony, but Anthony's only at 3 energy, so it's very unlikely that Anthony has anything in his deck that can essentially kill Chris. Now, that's not to mean that he can't. It's just very unlikely. And so I think the risk to play Bobby out here could really pay off. Now, it's also possible that Chris can just play the safe play out Mighty Mask, search out some threats, try to search out some 2 cards, set himself up for future turns. He also looks like he might have a Gotenks in hand as well, which I can't quite see if that's a card. If that's the case, that's also a very fantastic play to play right now because he can play it out, get the tokens have double strike, and he can also keep an energy open while doing that. So he has quite a few plays here. We'll see which one he decides to do. Looks like he might be going with the Bobbity play, which I really like. It's very aggressive, but it's a good way to come in strong on this match. I think the safer play, though, would be to play the Gotenks, which it looks like he might be deciding to do. Chris is still not sure which threat he wants to play out. It's a good problem to have, having too many threats to play out to decide which one you're going to play. He's going to go with the aggressive Bobbity play. I love this. Let's see what he gets off the top. He gets a Gohan and another Bobbity. It looks like maybe he doesn't have a good selection here of threats to play off. Oh, he actually has 2 Gohans. So that's actually fantastic. I didn't see the other one. Yeah, so there's 2 Gohans. That's great. Now, his opponent doesn't have a Tien available to, he doesn't have a rested battle card to punish with this Gohan, but it's still just it's still a very powerful threat that can deal a lot of damage. He's going to put his Bobbity under, which is very surprising to me. To me, Bobbity is like the best card in this matchup, so I'm really surprised that he decided not to keep that card. All right, so he's swinging, it looks like 25,000 into Cell here. Cell being at 15. Looks like he got Sensu Beans, who's up to 20. So I think he's going to need 2 more cards, or 1 10,000 card. Let's see what Anthony decides to do here. He has plenty of cards in his hand. He has a lot of options. So I think it's very unlikely that Chris steals the game away here, but I think he can put enough pressure on Anthony here to take... to put him in a hard position to come back from. All right, looks like he did discard a card. I didn't see which one it was, but it looks like he did combo to go up to 30 to stop it. Oh, it looks like it was a Trunks. Possibly. Oh, he just has it comboed. Yeah, that's what it was. Okay. All right, so he's just going to use the Gohan, 1-cost Gohan for 10,000, and the Sensu Beans to come back from there. So he uses 2 cards that kills Tien, and just pass turn. Hey, so Anthony's in a pretty tough spot here. His opponent Chris has 2 game-ending threats on the field, plus he has more cards under Cell than Anthony does, and so he really can kind of come back here and eliminate any board presence that Anthony can put out here. I can't see that. Can you check for me? Oh. Okay, I think Anthony might be at 1 life. We have a third stream judge that's is new, so I don't have his access to him on Facebook. Again, the life is a little bit out of the screen here, so I'm sending Chris to go check it out for me. I think Anthony might be at 1 life. I think he actually took the 2 damage from Gohan. Let's let's see. Yeah, I think Anthony's at 1 life. We're just double checking to make sure. Yeah, it looks like Anthony is actually at 1 life. All right, so Anthony's playing out Mighty Mask here. I'm going to go search for a Trunks Youth and a Goten. If he uses the ability, that is. So here he's attacking Chris for 15,000. He's going to be using Sensu Bean to ready 2 energy. So this is at 20,000 right now. This is second Sensu Bean in order to ready all of his energies. Now he's back up to 4 energy. This is a good play by Anthony. This is what he needs to do, try to get back into this game. He needs to be able to play out multiple threats this turn to try to get this game back in hands. He's going to use Trunks here to draw a card. So this cell is up to 35,000. Looks like he might. I'm not sure what he's attacking into here though. It might be either the Gohan, obviously, or Cell. We'll take a look and see. Looks like it wasn't to the Cell, and he'll just take it and go to 3 life. Chris is now at 3. All right, so now he's sacrificing the Mighty Mask to go get the Gotenks, the Goten that can search for Gotenks, and another 0-cost combo card. So he's going to put Gohan under him to draw 2 more cards. It really stinks Anthony doesn't have 1 more green because that Gohan, oh my gosh, is absolutely devastating. Would be really good for him right now. He can actually remove one of those Gohans from his opponent and actually maybe try to get back in the game with the that plus the Cell ability. But now he is comboing up with Double Strike here. Looks like he is attacking with Double Strike for a whole bunch. Now, maybe Chris is at 2 life. Yeah, it looks like actually Anthony took that game. It stinks. I can't see the life. Can you go like that? Like keep the life in the frame. Yeah. Like see how the life's out of the frame on both. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure why the life was moved out of frame there, but we'll. I'm sending Chris to fix that up for you guys. It was really strange to me that the life got moved there, but we'll fix it up, get it going for you guys, so it's a little bit clear what happened next game. Looks like what happened there was Chris was at 2 life instead of 3, and Anthony played out the Gohan, comboed up to a ridiculous amount with the Gohan, and used the Double Strike effect to defeat Chris there. A real nail biter right at the end too. So that puts Anthony at the win right there. So he's at 1-0 with for Chris here. Another really fast match. I'm actually really surprised how fast some of these games have been going, especially the Cell Mirror. I really expected it to last just a little bit longer. That game was very fast. That's what happens when you have 2 TN though. You have TN on TN. It's very quick. You take a lot of your life just off TN to awaken, and then at that point it's just kind of a Hail Mary, like who can beat who with the cards.
Once again, Dragon Ball players, we are doing a $20 win-a-box, win-a-man, and you get a tournament pack. It's $20. We currently need 6 more players.
Yeah, again, sorry again about the life. I'm not really sure what happened, but we sent Chris over. Chris took care of it. I think they're going to make sure that life's in frame that time. Again, I really apologize. That's 100% my fault. I didn't get a chance to see the life, and again, because the match started so fast, I didn't get a chance to tell them to fix the life before the match started. So again, it's my fault. We had a little bit of miscommunication between me and the table judge, so we didn't get a chance to get the match started off correctly. So I apologize. All right, so going into the sideboarding here of this matchup, we have Tricolor Cell and blue-red cell. So there's a lot of different things they can use. Now, the big thing that's another really good card for this matchup is, again, Mafuba. I've talked about it a lot today, about how it's so important in these cell mirrors and these cell matches, because what can happen is Cell can use Mafuba to essentially stall a threat for one turn. Essentially one turn, which allows him to load up his cell ability and be able to then to KO it with his ability. And so it can really help the cell decks kind of catch up and get to a spot that can make it so they can, essentially remove it when they actually really couldn't. A lot of times Mafuba is just a stall card, but in cell decks, a lot of times it's like a pseudo removal card because it essentially stalls it long enough to get it removed, which is important. The players are still sideboarding. Some other good stuff in here. Honestly, Pilaf wouldn't be a terrible card in this matchup. Being able to turn off those double strike threats can let them survive one more turn. And that's that Pilaf card, which Pilaf is the 1-cost card that you play as a counter, and then you play it after you counter with it, and you can shut off one keyword ability. So you can shut off like double strike, you can shut off critical. And that could be a very good card as well to be running in this deck. So that way you can stop the double strike effects and get caught up essentially. Other than that, Jocko's another card I can imagine these guys maybe sideboarding in. Jocko's really good against TN because when they combo with TN, you can Jocko it back to their hand, essentially time walking them, so essentially taking their turn away. And it can really put them in a bad spot because essentially if they waste their turn using TN, then you can put pressure on them, knock them to 7 like what happened to Anthony, and make him have to spend more life to get down. So those are some 3 really good cards that could be very good in this matchup, and I expect to see these players taking advantage of those cards. Looks like Anthony is still sideboarding a little bit. I'm trying to figure out exactly what he wants to play, what he wants to sideboard in.
Players, that is time of the round. If you are still in a match, please proceed to end the match procedures.
Go ahead and take a little bit of time here to take a little bit of your guys' questions. If you guys want to at KitchenTableMeta in the chat,
once again,
I can answer some questions.
That is time in the round. If you are still in a match, please proceed to end the match procedures. If you need assistance with these procedures, please raise your hand and call for a judge.
I'll make sure my table judge can hear me here. Yeah, it looks like actually Anthony's sideboarding in a whole bunch of cards here. It's actually, I think it was, 3, 6, 9, 10 cards, looks like. It's a whole bunch of cards. I do expect to see Jocko come in. I like to see a couple Mafubas come in if he doesn't run any main board. I still think that card's very good in that matchup. Also, again, it's also possible that Anthony can just sideboard into a different type of cell deck, especially if I'm Chris right now and I look over and I see that my opponent has sideboarded in that many cards. It essentially raises a red flag to me that he's actually changing his strategy going into the game too, because there's no rule, at least in my opinion, it's really hard to sideboard 10 cards in without essentially drastically changing the way your deck plays. So it's possible Anthony might be sideboarding into the Android combo here, so he might be going from tricolor maybe down to dual color, or just trying to take advantage of that cell Android combo to be able to discard a lot of cards out of Chris's hand, which is a very good play. So again, like I said, if I'm Chris, I'm actually expecting this. I'm expecting him to change the way his deck is being played. I can also see Anthony cut some of the more uninteractive cards he had in his deck, like the he ran Kaba, we saw in his deck, which seems not extremely good in this matchup. So I can see him actually maybe using that this time to take that card out as well. In this matchup, you don't want to be very aggressive, especially not with a Kaba, because essentially you're just making it so they can awaken a turn earlier. Well, same turn with TN, but with essentially wasting one less card. So I can see that possibly being something that the opponents do, the players do, Anthony does. Let's just take some questions here at KitchenTableMeta. When will ARG put up deck lists? Probably sometime tonight or after. I'm not sure actually, but I'll definitely ask you guys. I'll ask like Mike or Jim or something after this round, and then I'll get back to you on that. I'll make a note to ask you guys that. I'll actually write that down now. Okay. Was there any ruling on the sideboard not being sleeved prior to the event? No ruling. It doesn't have to be sleeved. You just have to have exactly 15 cards in your sideboard. That's the only ruling. At KitchenTableMeta, can Chris adjust the shot the camera is set up to be zoomed out to show full mat to fix the life issue? Yeah, we can, but the problem is if we zoom the camera out too far, like if we bring it out the camera too far, it actually brings in a lot of glare. And so it's actually just my fault, like I said, guys. It's not so much that I guess if it's zoomed in or zoomed out or not. It's just I didn't tell the judge to move the life in the frame because the game started before it was ready, so it was my fault. All right, so let's get into the game, guys, and see what happens on game 2 of round 6. Super excited. Again, Anthony Hernandez versus Chris Salk. Again, Chris is 5-0, so he has a good record. He has a good job with this deck. I think his only mistake he made that round is he probably should have played Gotenks. Again, that was actually my fault, essentially, in commentating. I actually, suggested that he play out the Bobbity. I actually thought he was at 4 life. And so I didn't think it was possible for him to die. It turns out he was actually at 3 life the whole time and died to the swing back from Anthony. In that situation, I think Gotenks would have been much better. He still could have put as much pressure on Anthony and then played Bobbity the next turn for the finisher. But still, I mean, sometimes you have to take chances. I mean, that's how you don't get 5-0 playing safe all the time, right? Sometimes you need to take some chances, and when you're ahead, especially, you try to close the game out and put yourself in an unwinnable or in a unlosable situation. All right, so we have Chris Salk playing down a red energy and passing the turn to Anthony, and Anthony is going to play out a red energy as well and attack with Cell. Now, again, this is a great play by Anthony. You should always attack into a Cell and try to knock him to 7, but he's actually Chris is just going to discard a card and stop it from happening. Which, if I'm Anthony, I'm thinking he probably has TN in hand then. Actually, but he doesn't because he didn't play a green out. Actually, he still can. What am I talking about? Yep, there's the TN we just talked about. Getting tired, boys, thinking about how you have to have a green to play TN out. I'm sorry. And Anthony's going to take the hit, go to 7. Very familiar situation for Anthony here. All right, and so Chris is going to go to 4 life and Awaken, draw 2 cards on that Awaken, and then use his ability to cycle 2 more cards. Again, I'd really like to see Chris push a card out of his hand onto Cell, and then Awaken and do it again. That way he can remove something on Anthony's next turn. Oh, there's a Jocko from Anthony. So we do know Jocko is in the list, which is super important. All right, and Cell's attacking and playing the TN. Let's see if Chris has a Jocko of his own here to respond to. This would be devastating for Anthony if he did have a Jocko. Let's see what happens here. It looks like Chris might not have it. So Chris is really thinking what he wants to do here. Is this 15,000 into 15,000? Actually, I'm sorry. It's 20,000 to 15,000. So he's going to go up to 25 to not take the damage. And it looks like Anthony is going to go to 6 life here. I'm sorry, 5 life, and then go to 3. All right. So we expect to see Anthony awakening here, which he does do. And probably see a cycle here. So these are some fast cycles, some fast awakens. This is very close to the last game, except this time I think Chris is going to, hopefully will not tap out. He does have that awesome ejection play next turn. I think he can definitely get ahead on energy here. We'll see what happens. And Anthony's going to pass turn with a book in his hand. He has probably 11 plus cards in hand, a lot of cards. Anthony in a very commanding position, even though he is a life down. We'll see what Chris can do to respond here. He's going to play out a Gohan here and probably see objection coming down this turn, but we'll see what happens. It's like he's just going to put a little bit of pressure on Anthony, maybe try to get one of those cards out of his hand, which it looks like Anthony is doing. All right, so put the TN down, draw 2 more cards, see if he can get some ramp ability here. So it looks like this here comes on that objection we were talking a little bit about. Here's the objection. Looks like he's wanting to put that Boo down. I would save the Sensu Bean. Sensu Bean can be very important in this matchup. But it looks like he's going to put the Sensu Bean down and probably save the Boo maybe to play. Yeah, there's the Boo. So he's digging for something. Another objection isn't going to get there, but he can cycle that with Cell or just play his energy next turn. So it's not a terrible draw. All right, moving to Anthony. Looks like Anthony did keep Kabas in his deck. It's really surprising me that Anthony kept Cobb in his deck because this matchup comes so it's essentially who can play TN out first and awaken, and when that happens, Cobb is essentially, in my opinion, just turn into kind of dead cards in the hand. They're very aggressive. I mean, he could use it to try to steal the game away, but all right, Anthony trying to figure out what he wants to play out here. Play out that Mighty Mask. see if he wants to put any pressure on Cell with this Mighty Mask, which he is doing. And he's going to just no combos. A very advanced play there by Anthony. You know, he was attacking into Cell there, just see if he could bait something out, maybe a counter, maybe something. If you're getting rid of it, it doesn't hurt you to attack. I mean, it's a good thing to do, good thing to get used to. That way, again, like I said, you might get lucky one time and bait out a counter or something, and that could really change the course of a match. So, but Chris isn't having none of that. Not going to counter, and we're going to see Anthony getting his two his Goten and Goting, all right, Goting and Future Trunks, or Trunks Youth out of the deck. All right, Anthony has his Cell online, so he can remove a threat. The next threat that Chris plays. See what Chris chooses to do here. Remember, guys, if you have any questions, you know, put your questions in chat at KitchenTableMeta, and I'll answer them as soon as I can after the match. All right, it looks like Chris is just going to use that boo to stay alive. Again, 4-3, 4 life to 3. Chris in a lead in energy and life once again, but Anthony in a commanding lead as far as cards go. He has a small book in his hand, so. All right, so here Chris is just attacking again, 15 into 15. And Anthony is going to use Sensory Bean to avoid that attack and ready to energy. Chris trying to figure out what he wants to do. It looks like he's going to put Vegito Saves the Day under Cell and draw 2 cards. He gets a Mighty Mask and another Vegito Saves the Day. Now I think he's trying to figure out what he wants to do with this, how he's going to take advantage of the stuff he has. Looks like he does have a Jiren in hand, which isn't actually a bad threat. He can play it out, he can pressure Tien, and chances are Anthony will respond by killing the Jiren with Cell at the end of this on this next turn, which allows him to then play out Bobbity, Gotenk, some of his other threats. Anthony passing it up. Survives that attack and passing up. We'll see what happens. It's possible Anthony, with as many cards as he has in his hand, that Anthony would just pressure Jiren with his Cell and try to save those cards under Cell for as long as he can. Because, again, the more cards Cell gets under him, the more oppressive he becomes later in the game. All right, Anthony's cycling through his deck here, trying to figure out what's of the many threats he wants to play out. And he's just going to put Kaba under and draw 2 cards. All right, and it looks like he's just going to use Cell's ability to kill that Jiren, which I think is a fine play. I would like to see Anthony maybe pressure it a little bit more. That way, because you never know. You know, you can get some value out of Cell. If you can get ahead in those Cell numbers, you can really take this matchup over. But again, Anthony just taking the safe play to kill it, and then going to drop his 3-cost promo BCC promo Gohan down, attack, and see if he's going to choose to draw a card here. He's going to choose to draw a card, so it's a 15,000 attacker, loses the double strike. And we'll see what Chris decides to do here. So this is 15,000 to 15,000. Chris does have a lot of good cards in hand. He's going to play out that Vegito again to survive that attack. All right. So Chris drawing another objection for his turn. I think that's his 3rd objection he's drawing. It's like he's just going to play it down as another energy. He's going to swing at Cell. With Cell. 15,000 to 15,000. And another Sensu Bean coming out from Anthony to protect that attack. He's going to play out Mighty Mask. Chris is playing out Mighty Mask here, attacking into Gohan. See if he can get some a counter or anything else. Obviously he can't. Another smart move by Chris. Again, put him in a situation where Anthony might do something to save that Gohan. He's going to go get the combo card and the Goten that can search out of Gotenks. Put that Goten underneath that card and draw 2 more cards. These decks are so much fun to watch. I love watching them. They're so fun. They cycle through so many cards. It makes the deck super consistent, and they're very exciting to watch. All right, so it looks like Chris is in a situation now where he can't play out too many threats. Like he doesn't have the energy to play out any of his big threats in his hand because they require 2 red, and he only has 1 red open. So he's just going to use Cell to kill the battle card on Anthony's side and try to keep that that board under control. Let's kill the Gohan. I'm sorry, guys. Right, so it looks like he's putting Gotenks under, drawing 2 more cards. I could imagine that Anthony, out of all the cards in his hand, he didn't have something a little bit least impactful than a Gotenks to put under there, but I'm sure he does have a plan. With all that huge fan of cards there, he can fan a king with that many cards. It's actually absurd. I'm trying to make out what cards are in his hand right now. It looks like he might have a Jiren, maybe 2 Jirens, and a couple Gotenks. Ghost Attack Gotenks, that is. Anthony might be looking for a way to maybe end this game, this turn right here. See what he decides to do. All right, so he's going to play out. Has to be a sideboard card. This is the Goku that costs 3 red. It's a 25,000 attacker, and it looks it's the one that cannot die to skills. So this is fantastic against Cell because Cell can't remove it with his ability, which is extremely powerful. And that's, like I said, this almost has to be a sideboard card, a very good sideboard card, a very, very good sideboard card. Just really showing Anthony's understanding of this matchup and what he needs to do to strengthen it with the sideboard. So this is a 15,000 attacker into 15,000. Chris is going to Sensu Bean up to 20, and he's attacking 20,000 into 20,000 here. I believe it does have double strike too. So see what Chris decides he wants to do. There's no combos from Anthony. Chris is just going to use his 0-cost combo card to draw a card, survive that attack, and ship it right into his turn. Now, if he can find another red energy, put that down here, and maybe play out this Bobbity this turn. Seems like it wouldn't be too bad of a turn. He could leave him energy open by doing that. Also, just the Jiren he put down his energy wouldn't be too bad of a play to start pressuring that Goku. He needs to get that Goku off the field because it's deadly versus Cell. All right, Chris deciding what he wants to do. He's eyeballing that Bobbity. He wants to play that Bobbity. It looks like he's going to play out the Bobbity. Here it comes. Again, he has enough to open up a blue this time, so he's learning from his past mistakes, see what he can find. He does have a Gotenks. He found a Gotenks and possibly a Gohan, it looks like. Yep. Now he's going to get 3 tokens from that. 3 15,000 tokens. It looks like he only has 3 cards in hand, so those will have double strike. And this could be a devastating turn for Anthony. We know Anthony has used a lot of Sensu Beans this game, so he might not have anything to protect himself from this. So we'll see what happens. Looks like Chris is attacking Cell with the Union Force pack, which is a ghost token, so that's good. This does have double strike, so Anthony's have to decide what he wants to do. It doesn't look like he has any more Sensu Beans in hand, so we'll see what happens here. Chris isn't comboing anything into this. This is just a 15,000. We do see 3 trunk cards in Anthony, so Anthony has plenty of stuff to survive. I don't think he's going to die to this Gotenks this turn, but we'll see what Chris has up his sleeve. So Anthony is just going to take that and go to 1 life. So he's going to use 1 card on the Boo here to survive. Attack again, 15,000. Again, Chris doesn't have enough cards in hand to really pressure Anthony. Like, he can't put him in a situation where we can beat him. Essentially combo too high where Anthony can't stop with the trunks. So Anthony's in a pretty good spot here. But this is, Ghost Attack trunks coming in. This is 20,000 to 15,000. Anthony's going to use his combo card, go up to 25, and stop that attack. so here Chris is putting a card under his cell, drawing 2 cards. He did get a counter spell from that, which is fantastic. He's going to attack 20,000 into cells, 15,000. Anthony's saying no to gates. Chris is deciding what he wants to do here. He could use the Sensu Beat in hand, but I'd really recommend that Chris, you know, he has Anthony at 1 life. He has a Go Tinks out with tokens. He just needs to set himself up to where he can make sure he can survive next turn and not try to win the game this turn. Anthony has, you know, like 11 cards in hand, so it's pretty unlikely that he'll be able to win off of this attack. So Chris decides not to combo, uses his trunks, and draws a card. See what Anthony Hernandez wants to do here. He's going to combo up and survive that attack as well. It was a good turn for Chris. He got 2 threats out, 3 15,000 double striking tokens, and he also got a lot of cards out of Anthony's hand. He used 2 of his trunks out of his hand, and Anthony is at 1 life. So Anthony, you know, could be in a bad spot here. We'll see how much pressure he can put in return. So here he's putting his Weiss blocker under cell and drawing 2 cards. Couldn't quite see what cards he drew there, but... All right, so he's going to kill the Gohan with Cell's ability. Anthony is, you know, definitely went through a lot of cards here. His hand is getting thinner and thinner as Chris's board presence is getting bigger and bigger. All right, Anthony's going to attack in with Cell here. He's actually going to attack one of the tokens. Smart move by Anthony. He's just trying to lessen the number of token threats that he can, that Chris can put out. And he doesn't want to give Chris, you know, any cards needlessly as well. So, very smart play. Now he's attacking 20,000 double striker Goku into Cell, Chris's Cell. Chris is going to use the trunks to survive that attack as well. Looks like Anthony might be passing the turn here. Looks like Anthony is maybe not wanting to play a threat out because he wants to save a lot of energy, but he's going to play Go Tinks out. But these tokens will not have double strike because Anthony has infinite cards in hand. Wait, no, this is another Goku. Never mind, I'm sorry. This is another Goku. Another 4-cost Goku that can't die to being used with skills. That's my fault. They look pretty similar. They have the same kind of hair. So. She's going 20,000 double striker into Cell once again. Expecting Chris to counter this or negate this attack. We'll see what happens. He did do that, and passing the turn. Let's see what Chris does. He has a lot of options here. It's actually possible Chris doesn't charge an energy, which he didn't. And he's just attacking straight up 15,000 to 15,000, so... Anthony's going to have to use some cards here to stabilize. Looks like he might be using this Bulma to boost it up. And that's what he's going to do. So we're getting a 50,000 token coming in. He's just going to use another Bulma. 15,000 token coming in once again. And another Boo. Anthony is going through his hand extremely fast. But Chris has more threats coming, so he's attacking him with the Gotenks this time. 20,000 double striker going into 15,000 cell here. Let's see what Anthony decides to do. Decides to use the Weiss here, pay 1 and go up to 30 or 25,000. Chris with another Bobbity in hand to put some more pressure on his opponent. He's going to draw 2 cards, see what he gets. A Jiren, pretty good threat. I'm sure Chris is just going to drop the Bobbity here. It's just such a good threat against Anthony. If he gets another Gotenks, that's probably going to be game. But we'll see what happens. And there is the second Bobbity. I'm going to look at the top here. He has a Gohan. There's the second Gotenks. He's just going to immediately drop those 2 out without even looking at any of his other cards. He knows that's what he needed was that Gotenks. It looks like he got it. That puts 3 more 15,000 attackers out, plus 2 more threats. And Anthony looks a little rattled here. And he's going to go 10,000 here. So it looks like right now what's happening is they're attacking with the tokens that he made. They're just not going to put them out on the field yet. Looks like he survives that token attack. It looks like he survives the other token attack. Like I said, I think he just attacked with 3 tokens that are either off screen or they haven't put out yet. Let me ask the judge, see what the tokens are. And he's trying to find a way he can survive, and there's the game. So that's game 2. Our first game that goes to game 3. We have 15 minutes left in the round, but remember, these guys do have a time extension since they are on stream. It takes a little bit of time to get it set up and stuff, so they will get a little bit of a time extension going into this, which is really exciting, guys. I'm super excited to see. This has been a super fun matchup to talk about. So we'll go back in the sideboarding, see if Anthony decides to, sideboard in something different. I think that those Gokus that he put in were almost absurdly the sideboard tech. And so, it's very cool to see that in. It was a very good card, very powerful card. But again, what happened, should have happened last game, happened this game. And essentially what happened was Chris just didn't tap out, made sure he had energy to protect himself, and just overran Anthony with Bobbadies and Gotenks, which, is very hard to beat Cell. Cell doesn't have a way to clear multiple threats at a time. It doesn't have cards that can help him kind of get caught up. And once his board starts getting overwhelmed, it's really hard for Cell to come back. But the flip side is, once Cell does get the board cleared, it's really hard for his opponent to come back. So it's this essentially battle for board control, which is very exciting. All right, almost set up the overlay, get everything set up. Looks like these players are quickly going into the next match. I don't think either of them want to draw. Anthony is still sideboarding. Looks like he's making some different changes. That's a good, it's a good indicator of a player that understands, the matches. You definitely want to sideboard differently or have a different plan of what you're going to do if you're on the play or if you're on the draw. So it looks like Anthony is sideboarding, for that. So he's going to sideboard differently when he's on the draw, and sideboard another way when he's on the play, which is very good. Very smart. It shows that he's a veteran card game player. That's something that is very, very important to do. You guys, if you have any questions, make sure you put them up on @KitchenTableMeta. I can probably answer a few before this match starts. So make sure you tag them in here. What's the length of this stream look like? I'm not sure what you mean, what the length of the stream is. If you're asking essentially this match, we have probably about 15 minutes left in this match. If you're asking how long the stream in total will last, it'll last until the 8th round, and then that'll be it for today. At Kitchen Table, at any time, would you rather be playing than commentary? Actually, no, I'm actually really enjoying commentary. Actually, would rather be doing this. I've played a lot of games at a professional level for a long time, and so it's really cool to do something different. Doing something that's different. Because I love analysis. I love looking into cards, talking about them and stuff. And so I love doing that, talking about game theory and stuff, and commentary allows me to do that. I can play, I can learn about the game, and then share my thoughts with you guys without feeling like it's going to hurt me as a competitive player. So it's really cool. I think it's really hard to be both a competitive player and a good game analysis, because once you find a secret or something, you don't want to tell people if you're going to play, right? And so I think it's really fun to do that. Dusty, I think you need a second commentator. Good job with the solo work, though. Thank you so much. It would be nice to have a second commentator, but again, I was, given one spot, so, maybe going into future events, that's a possibility. Who's your favorite player and why? That's a tough decision. My favorite player is Chris McKinney because he's sitting beside me. No, I like all the players. We have such a good community, such a good a group of players. They're all so neat. Danny Hype is awesome. Jordan Markle's awesome. Anthony's been really cool as well. Amani Edwards, me and him talked about his deck afterwards. All these guys are just fantastic players, fantastic personalities, and just honestly, just been a lot of fun to play with. At KitchenTableMeta, how many matches off stream seem to be going to time? I think it's a pretty deep. Like, I don't think there's a huge amount of players that are going to time, but I think there is like I would say the standard amount. If that means anything, I'm not sure. But I can try to get some sort of a number for you guys. All right, guys. Looks like we're going to game 3, the last game. Again, guys, if you have more questions, let me know. I answer them after this match, and let's get in to game number 3. All right, so it looks like our players are doing their mulligan here, getting stuff ready. Might have jumped the gun a little bit here, but we'll see what happens. All right. All right, let's see what's... looks like Anthony is on the play, maybe? Yeah, so he chooses to go on the play. Plays out his red energy and passes his turn off like Chris Sock here. Chris playing that blue, going to attack Cell. Again, we talked about this a lot. You know, you want to put that pressure on Cell, make sure that he can't get that TN for free. And he's passing the turn. I feel like this is a similar mistake that happened with Chris right now. It's what happened to Steve in our last match, which I think he probably should have played the Boo first and then comboed with the Boo to make sure he can get that damage in on Anthony. So here's TN. Maybe he has a Jocko, and it looks like it's going to be good. So Anthony is going to go to 4 and get to a state where he can awaken. And this is the first time this has happened for Anthony. Anthony's usually on the receiving side of the quick awaken, but it's possible that Chris has a response to it as well. I'm trying to see if Anthony has the Jocko in hand to shut that down, but we'll see. He'll pass turn to Chris. Very actually, I might have missed that when I changed the overlay over. Making sure Chris is at 8 life. I think he actually might be at 1 less than that. But again, the cards are out of frame, so I'm asking my judge to double check for me. I think he is at 7 life, but we'll double check. All right, so Chris gets that TN out. And there's the Jocko. Great. Anthony had the Jocko answer, putting Chris in a bad spot here. He essentially time walked Chris, made Chris not be able to do anything in that turn, and then also took his Jocko, took his TN away, makes him not be able to awaken as well. Okay, so like I thought, Chris is at 7 life. I thought he was at 7, but I just want to make sure I wasn't wrong about that. Whenever I change the life, sometimes the players hit, and I just make sure I didn't miss that. All right, so pass off to Anthony here. Anthony's going to play out his Mighty Mask. Use it to put a little bit of pressure. Actually, he's not going to attack with it. He's just going to straight up use it, which is a good play by by Anthony. Anthony knows that Chris has a TN in hand because he just chalked it, so he doesn't want to put any pressure on Chris. He doesn't want to put another card in his hand because if he does that, then he can get that perfect TN. All right, so passing off to Chris's turn. Chris is going to draw that card, which is a Bobbity. Play out a Goten. And attack for 10,000 damage to Anthony. Go for that TN, and Anthony has the second Jocko to stop this awakening from happening. Fantastic play again by Anthony. Again, this is a key part of this matchup. If you can keep those Jockos out, you can stop him from awakening, which is a big deal. All right, looks like they're going to move the life up a little bit for us. Anthony's playing off that Kel. Kill into Tien. Love that play. I love Kel into Tien because Tien can awaken you. Kel kills Tien, which is not a very good threat once he awakens you. Doesn't really do much after that. And then you have this powerful 20,000 critical striker that could really put a lot of pressure on your opponent. And also is a good counter to the Gotenks that we've seen. I'm surprised Anthony hasn't had more of those, hasn't had Kel in the deck before then. I think I saw him sideboarding them in after this match, and I'm really surprised it's not main deck because, again, in my opinion, Kel is one of the best cards. All right, so Chris is at 6 life now, getting hit with that critical attack. It looks like he is going to... Six. All right, so it's 6 life. So he's attacking 10,000 into Cell. Looks like he might be trying for this 10 play for a third time. Third time's a charm. Let's see if it sticks this time or Anthony has the third Jocko. He's going to play it out. Let's see what Anthony has. And he has Jocko number 3. Poor Chris can just not get this TN out. He just cannot get awakened, which is essentially a very bad situation to be in when you're in the cell mirror. It really comes down to who can awaken first, or you can't let your opponent stay awakened for 2 turns while you're not, or they're just going to have so many cards under cell that they're just going to be able to kill every threat you play out after that. So very unfortunate for Chris, but he's not out of it yet. He did get an objection, so he is again sneaking up there in energy, and it's possible that he can play a Bobbity and maybe get back into this game, but we'll see what happens. Anthony playing down his TN, down his energy. All right, and Anthony attacking it with Kel, 20,000 critical. And Chris is going to take that, going to 5.
First place gets a box. Second place gets a playmat. And third through 8th get a tournament pack volume 2. If you're interested in playing in one of our winner boxes, please come up to the front to enter. Once again, we're looking for 2 more people for our
Looks
winner
like
box.
Anthony is playing out his Gohan BCC promo and attacking for 15,000. We'll see if he decides to double strike or draw.
Yu-Gi-Oh players, welcome to round 7. You have 40 minutes. You may begin.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to decide to draw off of it. Draws a kill off of it, which is very good because the one way Chris can get back into this game was with Ghost Strike Gotenks, and he has another Kel in hand to be able to eliminate those tokens after that, and actually the Gotenks as well. Also, Anthony has 3 Trunks in hand, so he actually has some pretty good defensive plays and some good offensive plays going into his next turn. But it looks like he's going to... looks like Chris is just going to take it. Actually, he didn't draw a card. It looks like he just had double strike and took it and went to 3. So it's now 3-4. Chris is on the other side of the fence this time, being a life down from Anthony. And Anthony actually choosing to use Cell's ability on Kel. That's very surprising to me because, again, one way Chris gets back into this game is with the Gotenks like Hail Mary, and Kel can really shut that down if he can survive. So I'm really, really surprised with the effectiveness of Gotenks last game that Anthony's just going to throw his Kel away like that. Chris deciding to awaken, drawing his 2 cards. Combo going to 20K, passing the turn. Chris gets that Bobbity. This is what we're talking about. This is where he needs to be. He's at 5 life. He's probably going to use this TN here as energy. Actually, no, he can't because, he could use his energy, but I forgot that he's only running 2 collar. So if he does use TN as energy, he'll have essentially an energy he can't use. So that's actually terrible. So let's definitely cycle that with Cell. Draw 2 cards. He's at 6 energy. I'm guessing he's looking for that Gotenks, which he did get. So he's going to attack 15,000 into Cell. It's like Anthony's deciding what he wants to do here, if he wants to take it or not. He does have quite a few cards in hand, but taking it will add another card to his hand. He has so many trunks in hand. It's very unlikely that this Gotenks says Bobbity is going to be able to do anything. But he's going to take it here and go to 3 life. So they're all tied up, 3-3. Chris clawing his way back into this game with this Gotenks. He is leaving 1 blue open and getting his 3 Union Force packs here. Oh, nice. Gets his tokens out. And is attacking 15,000 with double strike into sell here. So what Anthony wants to do. I think I did see a Sensu Bean in his hand, so he probably has an answer to this, but it's possible he doesn't have Sensu Bean at all. Anthony taking a look at his sell cards and his drop area, trying to figure out what he's looking for here, what he can do. He might not have the Sensu Bean in hand after all, or that would be pretty much a snap play, so we'll see what he decides to do here. He does have Sensu Bean in hand, okay. So that's all he needs to do, play the Sensu Bean out right here. He can protect himself from these attacks.
If you are still in a match, please proceed to end of match procedures. If you need assistance with these procedures, please raise your hand and call for a judge. Once again, Dragon Ball Super players, that is time in the round. If you are still in a match, please proceed to end of match procedures. If you need assistance with these procedures, please raise your hand and call for a judge.
Okay, so 15,000 into another 15,000. It looks like Anthony just decided to pitch Gotenks there in order to survive. I'm not sure if he's just trying to maybe bait out Chris, making Chris think he doesn't have a Sensu Bean, or he just wants to save the Sensu Bean maybe for his next play to put more pressure on him by playing multiple threats. But we'll see what Anthony wants to do here. I thought maybe he wanted to use the trunks to dig. Maybe he's looking for something he wants to dig for. But he's not using those either, so I'm really surprised seeing the cards that Anthony's pitching right now. I feel like he's pitching some of these cards needlessly. So actually, Anthony's just going to tap himself out. It looks like what he's trying to do here is actually a really smart play by Anthony. It looks like he's trying to bait Chris into all inning here. But Chris is going to have none of that, and then attack his 20,000 into the Gohan and try to put pressure on Gohan here, which Anthony is going to use his trunks to protect it. Very smart play by Anthony, and Chris definitely read that play like a book, and isn't going to fall for that all-in play that Anthony was trying to bait him into. Anthony drawing another Sensu Bean. This is very good, considering he's staring down so many tokens. But he can't afford to put his trunks down. He did have a TN in hand, though. Really surprised he chose the Sensu Bean there. Again, very powerful in this matchup. If Anthony would have pitched that Kel to the cell as well, he would be able to clear Chris's entire board here and really put Chris on the ropes. But instead, it looks like Anthony, they're about even. So Anthony's attacking for 20,000 into Chris's 15,000. Chris is going to use Sensu Bean and go up to 20, matching him, and then use the boot to beat it by 5. It looks like Anthony did draw no, actually, I think it was 1 card over to draw 1 from Kel. Anthony drawing 2 cards off the pitch on sell. Let's see what he's looking for.
If you lose, you get a tournament pack. If you win, you get a booster box.
All right, I'm making sure I'm letting my judge know that they do get a time extension for being on stream. I believe he does know that, but I think I just saw Anthony talking about taking turns. So I'm just making sure that I'm correct with the fact they get a time extension. We are at time overall here, but like I said, I'm pretty sure they get a couple more minutes to play here. So Gohan is attacking. We'll see if he chooses double strike or the draw. It's like, looks like Anthony choosing to go for double strike, which makes sense. He's trying to end this game. Remember, the cell does have Sensu Bean on it still, so he is at 20,000. That's why he only had a combo with 1 card, 1 5,000 card. All right, Anthony trying to decide what he wants to do
All
here.
your attention if you signed up for DBS Win-A-Box number 3. Head up to the stage.
Playing his Super Saiyan Gotenks. Great finisher.
Dragon Ball
Very
Super
powerful card.
Win-A-Box
Putting
number
2 energy up.
3.
So now he has access to all 3 of his energy. He has a blue, a green, and a red. And 25,000 attacker coming out of here with double strike. Without seeing what's in Chris's hand, it's impossible to tell what he might do here. Chances are, though, he does have a negate in hand. If not, maybe taking this attack wouldn't be the worst. So like we talked about earlier, if he does have a counter in hand, he wants to make sure he counters this attack and doesn't get hit by it, which would make the Gotenks kill him. It's much better to get hit by the Gotenks to go to 1 than it is to get hit by the Cell and go to 2 and then die to the Gotenks. That way you get 2 more cards. I think it was possible for these attrition battles. Looks like Chris taking the Sensu Bean, putting it up, just to remind Anthony that he is at 20. Looks like Chris. Looks like I was just informed by the judge that Anthony and Chris are in turns right now. So this is Anthony's turn 1. I believe that's what I will see what my judge says here.
This is the last call. If you have signed up for Win-A-Box, you need to come up and check in.
All right, so Chris is using his trunks to survive that attack. Anthony using another combo card. Actually playing out the Gotenks that makes you discard a card. Again, we do know that that Chris has a Bobbity in hand. It's possible that he could use Bobbity. Looks like Anthony's trying to go all in here to try to win this turn. And if Chris can survive, it's possible that he can get another Gotenks off of Bobbity and end his game.
I need Alex Canas.
But Anthony does have a lot of trunks in hand to try to survive, so it's, again, maybe unlikely that he can win. Chris can win on the swing back, but we'll see what happens.
Zach Hayes.
Anthony trying to figure out what he wants to do here. Looks like he might be comboing with 1 card here. Essentially what Anthony's trying to do is he's trying to take 1 card away from Chris, 1 life from Chris, knock him to 2, so he can try to go all in on the Gotenks. If Chris can survive the Gotenks attack, though, then he can just take the hit from Super Saiyan Gotenks and not die. So he's going to go up to 20K, which matches Chris. Chris will have to figure out what he wants to pitch here to survive. He cannot take this hit, in my opinion, unless he has a counter in hand, which I can't see his hand. He's keeping that hand close to his face, hiding it, protecting it. Looking through his opponent's drop area, seeing what he can figure out. Looks like he does have another Sensu Bean in hand. We know he has a Sensu Bean Bobbity. We don't know what his 3rd card is, though. In my opinion, it's much better to use your Sensu Bean here and survive than it is to take this hit. If you take this hit, then Anthony can all in you and try to kill you. And so he has a Bobbity, a Sensu Bean. I don't know why that other card is literally invisible. Maybe he has 2 Bobbities? It's so funny that he always... Okay, yeah, so he's going to use the second Sensu Bean to survive that attack. Now we'll see if Anthony decides to attack here. It's possible Anthony just passes the turn and doesn't want to give him 2 cards going into his kill turn. We'll see what Anthony decides to do here. It's also possible Anthony just plays out his Kaba that's in hand and tries to go all in with Kaba. We'll see. It looks like Anthony might be trying to put some pressure with the TN here. He uses Trunks, draws a card. We just don't know what that second card has. We know he has Bobbity something else. We don't know what it is. Then he uses Trunks, draws a card. It's the 30,000 TN coming in, making me look like a fool for saying he's not worth anything. So come here and do a damage to Chris, hopefully, and put him into contention of possibly losing the game. Oh, he can't play Sensu Bean. He doesn't have a blue open. So he is at 30,000 coming in at Chris here. We'll see what Chris has. Looks like Chris might be forced to actually just take this damage. Unless he pitches the Bobbity in the other card in his hand, which actually still might be okay. It might still be better to do that. So pitch Bobbity. Go to 35. Good play by Chris. Because it's very possible if he attacks with Super Saiyan Gotenks here, he'll just draw back another Bobbity or draw back a threat that he can use to kill him with. We'll see if Anthony decides to go in with Kaba here. I feel like Anthony's really, trying to judge this, try to figure out that's what the best play could be. If I was Anthony, I would probably swing with Gotenks first, get an idea of what I think is going on. But then you put yourself at the risk of actually attacking Chris, making him draw a counter for the Kaba. He doesn't want to tap out. The fact he only has a 1 red open too, puts Anthony in a tough situation going into the next turn. It looks like Chris might be in a good spot here. He has a Gohan in hand that he can use as a combo card. He has a Sensu Bean that he can't use, and looks like 2 Trunks. He also doesn't have access to a blue negate either. So Anthony needs to either find a way to either end this game this turn or hold on to his pants and hope he can survive Chris's swing back, because it's going to be devastating if he draws a Bobbity or anything that can give him any kind of ground. I would expect Chris not to charge an energy next turn either. That way he has an extra card to pitch to draw 2 cards. But I'm not sure what that last card is in his hand. It's invisible. Again, Anthony thinking. Tough decision whether he wants to try to go in with this or not. Anthony taking his time. He does have essentially 2 more threats on the board. Looks like he's going to swing with this Gotenks. Now, I imagine Chris just take this hit if he does swing with this Gotenks, draw 2 cards, hope he draws a Bobbity, hope he draws a Gotenks, hope he draws something that can finish this game out. The danger here, though, is if he does take the 2 damage, it's possible Anthony decides to play out Kaba and all ends with the Trunks in his hand and tries to distill the game away. See what Anthony decides to do. It's like Anthony is debating attacking with this card or not. This is a big decision for him because this could either win him the game or lose him the game. But I think with what's in his hand, the fact he doesn't have a blue open for Sensu Bean, that he's going to have to go for the game this turn, because I'm really feeling like Chris could possibly take the game away next turn. Now, the downside with this is if he doesn't do it, if he doesn't attack, and Chris is going to snap take that 2 damage, like I said, it gives him 2 more cards, which is extremely important. Gives him a chance to draw that threat. And I think Anthony's going to go for this Kaba here. Still cannot see the cards in Chris's hand. If he did draw negates, this could be devastating for Anthony, because Anthony is now tapped out. And he's going to attack in. It's 5,000. Now, remember, Chris does have a chance to negate first, and if he does negate, then Anthony can choose not to do it. So he's going to draw a Mighty Mask off that. Go to 15, go to 25, go to 30, 35,000. Okay, so he's going to use Jiren to survive. It looks like he's actually survived this attack. Ooh, Anthony took a gamble there and went for it, but I actually think he has to. And we'll see what happens with Chris. Looks like he maybe couldn't get there. Yeah, very interesting ending there. He was at 15? 15, 25, 30? 35? He was at 20? I know that at least your channel has like almost 300. I'm not sure if that was the end of turns or actually Anthony just won off that attack. It looks like actually the 2 sensu beans on sale actually made him get there. Let's see, I'm actually asking the judge for clarification. It was really weird to me. Maybe I'm missing one of the cards in the combo though, I think. Okay, actually Chris won. It looks like actually Anthony just scooped going into the next turn. Okay, I thought it was really weird because I thought he got there. I was like, he got there, what the heck? But actually Anthony just decided to scoop. He decided that he knew he was going to die the next turn and give up the game. So Chris is going to take that game, going 6-0, going 2-1 over Anthony Hernandez. Absolutely fantastic set of games. Super exciting. A little confusing there for me. I wasn't sure what happened, but it's great to see that happen. So, all right, so I'm going to quickly go to the title screen, guys. I'm sorry, I have to get everything set up for the next match. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you going into round 7, guys.